All right, for my next step, I'm gonna start with my lighter values. And so you can see I have a big chunk of like the lightest value, like these ones are mostly white here. So I'm gonna do something like this. My shapes are not going to perfectly align, and this disco ball should be flipped like this if I'm gonna compare it to the photo, but my shapes are not gonna align perfectly, and that is totally fine, so just expect that. We're not gonna have the same number of mirrors on our drawing as we are in any photo, but you can just kind of use this as a rough idea, but you can totally change and add different things wherever you want them. But notice the main groupings are right here and here, but maybe I want to add a few lighter ones down here in the bottom as well, and maybe even a couple random ones around there too. So I'm mixing up my lightest value of red, so it's going to be a tint. And so I want to make sure, again, that I make enough of this. I feel like that's something that you guys could really waste a lot of time on, is mixing colors. If you don't make enough, you're gonna have to go back and making the same value. You're probably never gonna get the exact same value, so don't worry about that. If you have to remix like in a different class or something, just try to get it to be close. But making enough paint in the first place is like, mixing that up is really, really important. So I'm just gonna kind of like keep mixing it, keep it in this one nice neat little pile. I'm not gonna spread it out because then it'll start to dry. I'm gonna get all the extra off of my brush, and I'm gonna make it just a little bit darker. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more red. So this is a tint of red, which is pink, and it's on the lighter end of the value scale. So once it's all mixed up, I am definitely not going to paint with this larger brush. I painted one example already, and I thought I could use a bigger brush and make it easier for me, but it actually just made it super messy. So I would suggest one of these brush sizes for painting all of your squares. And then let me give you a tip on how I paint them. So this flat edge of the brush really, really helps. You do want to paint them all individually because you'll have to go back and mark the lines at like one of that last steps. You want to make sure you can still see them. And so you are going to paint the individual mirrors. And don't make it harder than it is. Less paint than what you think you need on there. You can always get more. And so let's see, I'm going to start over in like this region right here, and I'm going to start with the edge, and I'm just going to pull my paint across. And then I like to do like a few in this section that I'm gonna paint. So I have too much paint on my brush. It's hard to control if you have too much paint on your brush, so keep that in mind. And then once I have all of the mirrors that I wanna do for this section, I flip my paper upside down and I pull my paint back across the other side. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. All right, so now that I have just that section figured out, I'm definitely gonna add more than just that. I'm just kind of showing you my technique for painting those separate mirrors. Now I flipped my paper upside down, and now I'm gonna get the other side of them, and you can absolutely leave a little seam between them so that you can see the separation between the mirrors. I highly suggest that. It will make the next step, or the final step, I should say, much easier. And so it's all about that flat brush, and it's really like you taking your time. And I'm gonna like layer over the first half that I already painted while painting the second half. And when I'm looking at my reference image, I do not have the same number of mirrors. I just kind of like eyeballed it, and I tried to get it similar, but again, it's like a really rough comparison. It does not have to be exactly the same. You can even make up where a lot of your values go as you paint, and that is totally acceptable. So feel free to use that picture as a guide as much as you want, or as little as you want. I just stuck my finger in a little bit of paint, so I just tidied it up real quick. No big deal. And then I'm gonna keep painting all of these, and I'm gonna finish up with my lightest value of red. before I move on to my next one.